I probably only watched about 3 labor and delivery stories because I didn't want to get overwhelmed. But nothing prepares you for it no matter how many you watch.
Well, I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me and homie Rain. He's his hair. We are both going to be talking about our labor and delivery story. Rain's going to talk about how it was being pushed out of my vagina, and I'm going to start talking about how it was pushing him out of my vagina. I think that labor is such a beautiful and sacred experience. I personally found these videos super helpful and comforting to me when I didn't really know what to expect. And there were so many things that happened during my labor where I was dumbfounded. I didn't know that this was gonna happen.
It's busier than I thought it would be. Like, there's so many things they have to do. They have to switch you from left side to right side. And they have to check you all the time to see if you're dilating, take your temperature, and they're monitoring my blood pressure like every 10 minutes it feels. So you can't really fall asleep or relax because they're always doing something.
My estimated due date was April 5th, and Rain wasn't born until a week and a half later. I heard that's pretty common with your first baby, and especially more common if your first baby happens to be a boy. Monday evening, I started feeling contractions, and they were like 30 minutes apart. And this is the first time I've ever felt contractions or Braxton Hicks or anything of that sort. I was like excited about it, but I didn't want to jinx it, so I just kind of kept it to myself. Morning came, and I think Brian was actually off that day, and I let him know, hey, I'm still feeling these contractions. In my mind, I'm thinking it has to be today because I just know it. I had to see my periodontologist and my OB just to make sure that the fluid levels and the placenta was in very healthy levels, and everything was fine. They let me know that if I don't deliver naturally, I will have to get an induction on Thursday. And this is what they told me on Tuesday morning. 2 days to naturally induce my pregnancy. And actually created a video about this, and I'll link it down below if you want to take a look. None of those things worked, so maybe not take a look. There is actually one thing that did work, and I'll let you know. So I go home and I'm a little disappointed that they didn't say, yeah, labor is gonna happen today. Who knows? They never really know, but they didn't look like they were too excited about it. But I was thrilled. I was like, my contractions are getting closer together. Let's see what's gonna happen. And later that evening, they started becoming 4 minutes apart. So very close together, and this was lasting for about 2 hours. And that's when they told us to go see the doctor. So at this point, I was pretty much in pain, and I started getting ready. Take a shower, put my makeup on, put an outfit on, get my bag ready. Let's go to the hospital. Let's do this labor thing. And Brian's like getting ready too, and he's a little nervous, and it really hasn't hit us at this point that this baby was coming. So we get to the hospital around 9 p.m. and we check in, and they hook me up to the monitors again and see that indeed my contractions were very close together, but I was not dilated enough. I was still 2 centimeters, which was a disappointment because I felt that my body was changing so much. I felt like there was a change, but there really wasn't any change. They asked me to go home. You can go home, or we could induce you right now. We were very surprised with that option. We weren't prepared to just get induced and have the baby now. So we said, we'll wait it out. I want to go home. I want to eat something. And once I said that, the nurse was like, if you're still thinking about food, this is definitely not time. And I was like, I'm in pain. I'm just very hungry. Sorry that Rain's being so fussy. So I get home, and me and Brian get some, I think, IHOP pancakes and breakfast, because at this point it's like 3 in the morning and I was really hungry. Ate food, went to bed. I was still feeling the contractions, but they started getting more and more intense. Felt like somebody was slowly ripping my organs out and burning them inside of me. It was just really bad for me, and especially because it was just going on for so long. I felt like labor should have happened already because these contractions have been 4 minutes apart, now 3 minutes apart, and getting closer and closer together, but I'm still not dilated. So Brian is sound asleep at night. It's around 10, 11-ish, and I can't seem to go to bed because these contractions are getting bigger. I'm just sitting there waiting, like, what is gonna happen? I'm a little nervous and anxious, and I just don't know what to expect at this point. He goes to bed, I can't sleep. So then I start getting on all fours on the bed, and I start doing this rocking motion, which I read actually helps your water break. So this actually helped me cope with the contractions, and within seconds my water breaks, and before my water breaks I hear this big pop in my uterus, like a pop and then a gush of water. It felt like a gallon of water came gushing down, and I quickly jump out of bed with a towel underneath me, very, very mindful of my bed, and I'm on the floor, and I just feel all of this goo and gunk and water everywhere on the towel, and I wake Brian up, and it takes a while for him to wake up. And little did he know that was probably the last time he'll ever get sleep. And he's like, what do? I was like, I don't know, call the doctor, call the doctor. And then he turned on the lights. I look down, I'm afraid to look down, and I see all these chunks of blood and mucus. It's like, my water broke, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, and my contractions were getting so bad. After my water broke, the contractions were the worst ever, and she called the nurse. Nurse said, come on down, let's go. They said the blood was fine, so that was very reassuring. This time, the second ride to the hospital, I am wearing nothing but a long t-shirt covered in blood and my like furry Sherpa moccasins that I wear at home. Just looking like a mess and not caring. I'm just in the car yelling at Brian and telling him to get me to the hospital. And it's 6 a.m. Wednesday morning and everyone's on their way to work. And I'm just like, I'm not on my way to work. Move aside. I am going to the hospital. We pull up to the front of the hospital finally. It honestly felt like we got there in 2 days. And I remember thinking in that moment, I wish that I took classes and learned how to breathe properly. This is everything everyone was ever talking about when I was pregnant. Learn to breathe, learn to get through those contractions. You gotta work it out, work your muscles. Get to that meditative state where you are not feeling the contractions. And I always thought, okay, yeah, I'll get there when I'm there. And once you're there, you don't know how to get into that mindset unless you've been practicing for months, I think. So that's where I really messed up. Every time it would come, I would tense up, and I learned that was really bad. You're supposed to stay calm and allow it to just pass through your body and look forward to when the contractions are going to stop, because that will get you through it. Counting. I didn't do any of those things. I think every time a contraction came, I was like, God! So yeah, we got to the hospital. I'm just trying to get through these contractions. I'm breathing, I'm closing my eyes. I'm trying to get to my happy place. And then I see these two older women outside of the hospital, maybe even mother and daughter. And the older woman looks at me, and I felt like she was going to say something not pleasant. But once I pass her by, she says, honey, it's worth it. And that just changed the entire mood of my morning. Oh God, this is happening, and this mother is telling me this whole thing is worth it. And it was just such a beautiful moment to me, because it really took me out of my body and made me think, oh my God, this is actually happening, and I'm gonna be okay. Then I see a bunch of wheelchairs lined up, and I'm like, babe, get me this wheelchair. And he's like, and Brian's like, I don't think that's for you. Now looking back, I'm like, hell yeah, that's for me. These are specifically for me, for women in labor. But he didn't pull the wheelchair. I don't know, we were just so panicked, we didn't know what to do. We're like, is that for me? Is that not for me? What do I do? What's appropriate? So I'm like, blah, 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 blah. So I'm walking through the lobby, like all bloody. So we go back to the same floor we were earlier. The woman was like, all right, you're back. I'm like, yes, I'm back. Yes, I'm back. And she's like, so how close are your contractions now? And I used very favorite choice curse words, and she and another nurse just start laughing. They're like, all right, she's ready now. She's not hungry. She's ready. She can't think of anything else. On the walls, like grabbing the walls and screaming. I think I was trying to keep it in, and I was just like, oh my God, this pain. And it was like nothing I've ever imagined it to be. Nothing like I ever imagined it to be. I'm still only 2 centimeters dilated. So they're like, okay, you're just gonna have to endure this pain for I don't know how many more hours. And I'm like, give me an epidural. And they're like, we can't, you're only 2 centimeters. And then I don't know why, but they said, okay, no, it's clear that you're gonna be in labor due to how like close together the contractions are and how intense they are. So they gave me the epidural. After that, I was in heaven. When I saw the chart showing that my contractions are getting higher, I felt the pressure. I was just so terrified that the epidural would run out and I would feel the pain again. So that was my fear. And so I just kept telling them, give me more epidural. I can kind of feel it. They're like, okay, we'll give you more, we'll give you more, which completely numbed me. So I don't suggest doing that. You should kind of slightly feel some pain, because when it came time to pushing, which was 12 hours later, I didn't start pushing until around 6:30 p.m. and I checked into the hospital around like 6 a.m. They actually didn't induce me. It was all natural, but they did give me little drops of Pitocin just to speed up the process. And I kept telling them, I just slapped Rain's butt, sorry. So I kept telling them, this is not considered an induction, right? And they're like, no, this is just to help you naturally produce more Pitocin, because your body naturally produces Pitocin anyway. My mom's in the room, my sister's in the room. It's a beautiful hospital. We're overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Newport Beach, and it's beautiful. I'm in my happy place, eating ice chips, drinking some water. The nurses were amazing. I was in a very vulnerable situation. I had to really trust in these women. Finally, I was pushing for 2 hours. Rain wouldn't come out. I mean, he was just very stubborn. He didn't want to come out, so they actually had to mention I may need a C-section because I was really stressed. Baby's really stressed. That's what they kept saying. So I started crying because I was really afraid of surgery. I can't even watch Grey's Anatomy or watch like a commercial on anything to do with medicine even. So I was freaking out. They did give me an option to try the vacuum, but I saw the nurses and the doctors looking at each other and kind of being like, the vacuum's not gonna work, this baby's not coming out. And so that was discouraging, but I felt it in me that I could do it. Although I was really afraid if I wouldn't be able to do it. And it was just like one of those really memorable points in my life where I was like, okay, I have to make this work. I have to push. And my doctor was telling me, this is the moment where you have to give it all you got. You have to push as hard as you can. You only have 1 shot. And I was thinking of like the Eminem song. It was just very like 8 Mile moment. 1 shot, why not more? And she's like, the baby's too stressed. We can't vacuum him out twice. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. And the moment came so quickly. I wasn't even prepared. They put the vacuum in. 20 other nurses came in. They told us to shut the camera off. And they said push, and I pushed like I've never pushed in my life, and I was screaming, and I felt such an outer body experience. And I think that was the first time I ever just completely let go of ego and let go of any shame, and I just legs apart screaming. I should have done that before the vacuum, but I just knew in that moment, like, it's time. So it worked, and Rain came out through the vacuum, and it was an amazing moment. And the nurses were saying it felt like a football game because everyone was cheering on and everyone was screaming. I was very relieved. I thought I was dreaming. I had to ask the doctors if I was dreaming and if Rain was really my baby, and they're like, honey, you're not dreaming, this is your baby. It was just such an amazing moment where I had to pinch myself literally, and I was like, okay, this is really happening. Because at this point, you're just hallucinating, I feel, because you're pushing and you're sitting in that doctor's bed for more than 12 hours. And that's how Rain came to the world. My battery's dying on my cameras, and we're back, and shadows have arrived. And Rain has gotten sleepy from being a wiggle worm. So I'm just going to end this little sit down, cute talk about birth and say, sorry, dog is eating. This is mom life. I'm taking care of 5 dogs and a baby, 3 chickens, and some random birds, by the way. Okay, so I just wanted to leave you with this, if I can leave you with anything interesting. It would be create a birth plan, sit down and really ask yourself what's important to you in your body as a woman and what kind of experience you want, and really let that resonate with you. But when the day comes to actually deliver your baby, be open to all the possibilities, because the possibilities are indeed endless. You may get an epidural, even if you plan not to. I want to do all natural, but I took the epidural like that, no question. That might happen to you, and I never felt any regret or any disappointment in myself for it. I was just living in the moment. So that's the best you can do, is to live in the moment, be very instinctual with your body, let people know exactly what you need. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't think that you're being a nuisance or you're being a bother. When you're in labor, just know everything is about you and the baby. Be as demanding as you want. People will look out for you. People will make sure you're okay. Because I think a lot of the time when I was in that bed trying to deliver Rain, I was so conscious and cognizant of like being courteous and looking good and not looking crazy. Let it all hang out, and who gives a shit? And just, yeah, who gives a shit even if you shit? I didn't even care about that at that point. I don't even know if I did or not. No one would answer that question. Practice meditation, practice breathing as much as you can right now. That would be the most helpful tool, I think, is to practice breathing. Understand that you're going to be okay, and this experience is so worth it. You might feel like it's never gonna end and this is the worst pain of your life, and surely it is, and it's just one moment in time, and after that you're blessed with your baby and you're just in love, and it's all so very, very worth it, just like that woman told me outside of that hospital. It took me a while to really grasp and understand that it is worth it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Initially I was like, this is so hard. What did I get myself into? Raising a baby is no joke, and it changes your life in so many ways, but it changed my life in so many ways, in all the best ways. And I couldn't be more proud of myself for being a mother, more proud of Brian for being the best father, and I couldn't be more inspired every day the way I am with Rain, because he just made me a better woman and he made me a better human. And I hope that he knows how much I love him, because it's like infinite how much I love this kid. Respect your body, demand what you want. Don't let anyone pressure you in your decision-making process. Be in the moment, don't be shameful, just let it all hang out, and practice meditation. I keep saying that, practice breathing. And don't be disappointed if you have to get a C-section. Some women don't have a choice, or use a vacuum, or natural. However it happens, it's gonna be beautiful no matter what. Just embrace the moment, and whatever happens, it's okay. And expect the worst, and maybe you'll come out thinking it wasn't even that bad. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. We'll be filming again very soon. Say bye, Rain. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye. I love you.